Hey guys, my name is Vanessa Lupita and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my experience with Middlesex University that's located in London, UK. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, keep on watching. First off, the application process. The application process was a hectic one. First I had to apply through my school, which is Brew College, and when I was inquiring about wanting to go do this exchange with Middlesex University, everyone who I had to interact with kept on discouraging me from applying and from wanting to pursue this exchange. They told me that if there was anywhere else that I was interested in, to try to go for that in case I didn't get this. And I just didn't really like that. I was just like, why is everyone trying to highly discourage me from this? Now I know why. And the coordinators talked about how they heard horror stories from people who have gone to the exchange, just their bad experiences with the school and such, which was why they were actually already trying to find other schools to have an exchange with, which they were gonna finalize next year. But I was graduating this year, so I was just like, I want to go to the UK. I want to live in London. I don't care what it takes. I want to live in London and go to school there. And they eventually approved. And that's where my interactions with the actual school came in. And when it came to me inquiring to the study abroad coordinator in Middlesex University about the courses that they had, and just to finalize which courses that I wanted to take and needed the syllabi for, they pretty much were ghosts. I emailed them a couple times in the first month that like in February, yeah, I believe it was February where I sent my first email, and I kept trying to hear back from. I emailed them maybe a little bit afterwards, and I did not hear back from them until May. And when they finally responded to my email, it was to tell me that they no longer had journalism, which was the courses that I was applying for. When I heard this, I was just furious because it took them so long to just tell me that they no longer had a course that they originally said that they had and that I could take. So yeah, now I had to look for other courses that maybe works with my school and having to actually get them approved and everything, which fine, I was fine with. If it had to happen, but it was practically June at this point, and I only had less than 3 months to really finalize everything and actually know that I was gonna make this trip. So I got to work, and it was a back and forth with one particular person from Middlesex about what courses they had. I went through every list of courses and curriculums that they had that did not involve international politics, which they were highly pushing onto me. And literally at the very end, they were just like, the only course you can take is international politics. So pretty much I was just like, okay, you could have just said that from the start instead of rejecting all of these courses. Just tell me this is my only option. So that was my only option. I had to figure out which 4 courses I wanted to take, and I did, and had to get them approved, and that took a while, and finally got the approval, I believe, at the very end of June. Once I got my courses approved, everything slowed down a little. Like I felt at peace for a bit, and then I realized I don't know where I'm gonna live. I did not hear about anything that had to do with housing. there was no instructions about that. I just assumed that they would let me know my options. So it was around close to the end of July where I finally heard back from a different person, because the person that I originally was in contact with had left. So I had to try to communicate with a whole other person, and that took time. And they finally told me that I had to do this application online and figure things out on my own. And I was just like, it is practically August. I'm supposed to leave in September and I don't have a place to stay, and I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for me having to email them and ask them what is my living situation. Once I applied and all, I heard back about what my options were, or lack thereof. When I initially applied for it, there were at least 2 options where I would have an ensuite like bathroom, so a bathroom in my own room, which I didn't care where I was living, I didn't care how much I was gonna spend, I just wanted my own room with my bathroom. And I thought there were those options because that's what they gave me in the application. When I finally heard back about that, they kept on saying that, oh, this option isn't available anymore, this option isn't available. And it was back and forth of me like, oh, is there anything left here? Oh no. And they kept on saying, I suggest Ivy Hall, even though there's no ensuite. And I'm like, is there any room here? And they're like, no, but Ivy Hall is a good option. Eventually I got to a point where they were just like, Ivy Hall is your only option. I'm just like, why didn't you say that off the bat? Because I was just like, you make it seem like I had any option, and I didn't. So eventually I had to go with Ivy Hall, because if not, I was gonna not have anywhere to stay. And I was furious about just how that interaction went and the lack of options. But of course, it was August, mostly everyone had already applied for housing, and I almost was left with nowhere to live because no one told me about how housing worked with them. Once I got my housing, I was able to finally book my flight. I literally booked my flight 2 weeks before I had to leave. And the day came where I went to the UK. Once I got to the UK, settled in, and my first week of being with the school began, that is where the mess began with the school. There was a week where I was supposed to just like go and see the clubs and everything, and that was amazing. That was fun and that was cool, and I got a lot of free stuff, and that was just, I love that. But then the following week was the first week of actual like orientations and such, and I knew I was supposed to go to an orientation for the courses that I was in, but Middlesex University never sent me anything, and like I didn't even have my courses, like my actual like times for my courses. I didn't know where I was gonna go or anything, and that was a week prior to classes actually starting. So I was panicked, and I did have another student from Baruch who was also living in Ivy Hall with me, so luckily he actually had his courses and he kind of figured things out a little bit easier than I did, because he was there for a couple days before me. So he kind of figured things out a little bit better, and he told me things about like about orientation, because if he hadn't told me about it, I wouldn't have known at all that what time we were supposed to go, which we both missed because they sent us that email I think the morning of or the day before, which I didn't receive, he did, and apparently it was canceled and everything. So it was just a mess. I missed orientation completely, so I didn't get to meet any of my instructors prior to the class starting, which I was hoping to, especially because I was lost about everything, being in a new country and all. So I was hoping to make a good impression prior to classes starting. So that was that. when classes finally started and I actually got my timetable done and everything, things went a little smoother until I remembered that I needed to get someone from their international program to sign a paper notifying my school that I was attending the school and that I was taking for sure the courses that we had agreed upon. That became another must because the person that works with my school was just not responding, was having difficulties with meeting with us. They initially put a room, like I was trying to look for their room and just going in to see them, because after a while of them not responding to my emails, I just was trying to take any measures to get them to sign my paper. And I couldn't find a room, I couldn't find wherever they supposedly were stationed. And luckily my school understood that I wasn't going to be able to get that paper signed in a week. So maybe like 2-3 weeks after, they finally like responded to my emails and told me, I don't have time essentially to meet with you and sign this paper. I'm gonna let my colleague do that for you. And that lady was so sweet, and I'm so grateful for her being so flexible in this, even though this wasn't her job at all. But finally that got done, and at that time I could finally rest easy because all my paperwork and everything had gotten done. And that's really essentially my nightmare with Middlesex University, like with just getting the exchange done and finished, because it was just a headache trying to get there and trying to actually get my paperwork done. So that's my headache experience with Middlesex University. Overall, the actual staff of the school was wonderful. Like, they were all great professors. They were all so flexible with me, especially with the fact that I let them know off the bat that I have never taken a politics course ever in my life, and I was gonna be clueless, especially because of the fact that when I went over a big like political discourse that came up almost every class, more so with the students, not exactly the professors actually bringing up, was Brexit. And I had no clue what Brexit was. I had no interest in politics at all, so I let them know how clueless I was about anything, especially what currently was going on. So they were all very kind, and they were all like understanding of the fact that I didn't know anything. And I feel like they did explain a little bit more about the topics in detail at times to make sure that I understood, which I really highly appreciate. And they were all wonderful professors. And my actual interactions with the students and all was pretty good. And I actually really highly enjoyed my experience as a student in London. I did not enjoy my experience with administration of the school, but overall, was it worth it? Yes. It was a big headache, but it was honestly so worth the experience and the headache and any turmoil that I went through. I loved it, and I would do it all over again if I could. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a like or subscribe. I'm gonna try to post something new every week, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!